Hey, love, and welcome to the With Love podcast. I'm your host, Khristin, and this is your space, a soft, sacred corner of the world where we honor every version of ourselves through every journey and every season. Here we talk about self growth, dating, purpose, sisterhood, careers, healing, fitness, and faith, all through the lens of love. This isn't about having it all figured out. It's about choosing to grow, reflect, show up with intention together. So, wherever you are in your journey, I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. With love always, Khristin. Hey everyone, and welcome to now the second episode of the With Love podcast. I know it's been a long break in between episodes, and we can get into that with what today's topic is, based off of whether you're watching this on the podcast or you're watching this watching this through a podcast platform or you're watching this through YouTube. You can see in the title we are talking about self growth. Okay, and that is really something that I am working on this year. I've been working on it for years, but I feel like this year I'm really starting to shift more into being a little bit more serious about it. Um, I am 28, and I feel like the more I inch closer to 30, I don't know, I don't want to keep going through the same cycle of wanting more for myself and then not committing to myself. And that's kind of what's been going on with this podcast, of me starting it back in May. Yeah, back in May. And now it's August. And here we are on only the second episode. I really want to take this thing seriously because I do believe that this could be something beautiful. My self growth journey has definitely been a journey. And like I said, now that, 28, I'm in my late 20s, I'm inching closer and closer to 30 and being done with this era of my life, the 20s. And it's getting to be just a little bit serious. So I don't want to start my 30s wishing I stopped putting off committing to me, you know? When if there are things that I'm not happy with that I can change. And little by little, there's been little nuggets of me doing that this year. Um, and to my YouTube listeners, if you see me looking down, I got my laptop, I got my iPad, I just got all the notes because I don't want to ramble. I do want to stay on topic. And so through reflection and as I continue to grow within myself, I can come to the conclusion and say that, hi, my name is Khristin, and I am a recovering chronic people pleaser. And I think that has really impacted myself when it comes to self growth and more so of committing to myself. I'm so used to wanting to please others that for so long I hid my most authentic self to seem more appealing or to be more appealing to those around me. And I think, like they say, a lot of stuff stems from childhood. I didn't have a bad childhood. I grew up blessed to have two amazing parents that have taken care of me, loved me, and continue to this day. Um, but I think with me being such a quiet kid, and I think just the natural thing that happens, I'm also the oldest. Not that me and my sister are super far apart in age, so I can't say I'm one of those eldest daughters that had to take care of my younger siblings. She's only 3 years younger than me, but I still am like that eldest daughter, and I still feel like I have, kind of gone through that whole eldest daughter syndrome type of thing, which makes you, in a way, more of a people pleaser. You are the first to do things. You are the first child. You are the trial era for your parents. And I'm Black. And I think just living in a Black household with Black parents, where what they were told when they were younger, sometimes you pass that down, where we're not always given the opportunity to explore the whys when things are given to us. And I think for me, being that I was more quiet and more of like, I may have had questions, but if you told me to do it, I would just do it. I may not have liked it, and not that I always did it willingly, but I would do it. And I think all of that just kind of stems into why I would say I kind of became more of a people pleaser, more of just doing whatever and not wanting to cause any issues, not wanting to cause any conflict or anything of that nature. Um, and over time, growing up, you find out that not being your authentic self, not standing up for yourself, and all of those things actually does you no good and only does you harm. And it actually only brought me drama. I wasn't good at I just wasn't good with confronting conflict, especially, and that really came to a head when I was a teenager and in my college years. In high school, I dealt with that, but we had adults to kind of help us talk through it in a way. And then I was always kind of one that would just kind of sweep stuff under the rug and then go on about it. In college, a similar type of thing happened, except we didn't have the adult there, and it was just us teenage young girls um, trying to figure out conflict. I was afraid to say how someone made me feel, and in doing that, I talked to people that I was more comfortable with instead of confronting who actually was causing me the, not necessarily harm, but who just hurt, who may have hurt me in the moment. And in doing that, that's gonna cause conflict because sometimes people go back and they talk. That's where we go wrong. And so that was a lot of what I had to deal with and learn, and being around women who were, and maybe they weren't the most secure, but they were more secure than I was. So I think in college you can have a confidence in yourself, a security in yourself, but we're still young, we're still learning, and we're still figuring things out. So we all are going to have a little bit of some sort of insecurities. It's just some of us have bigger personalities that can really um, articulate what we're feeling, and others of us just aren't there yet. And I would say I wasn't there yet, but I was around women who were, and that was a friction for me because I wasn't there yet, and I didn't know how to articulate, and I didn't know how to face this conflict, and it made me uncomfortable, but it was something that I had to go through. And even though it was hard, I wouldn't trade it. I'm glad that I went through it. It was the first stepping stones to me building up a confidence in myself to be able to speak up for myself. And not to say that I'm the strongest in it, but now for me today, I know that if something's bothering me, I need to go talk to this person. I also know that I need to accept however they may feel about, what it is that I'm saying, whether that's good, whether that's bad. I just have to take it for what it is, but I just have to state my truth. How they receive it is how they receive it. We can have a conversation. If they receive it well, that's amazing. If they don't, then they don't. And depending on what the conversation is, if it's a thing for growth for me to tell them, like, hey, you did this thing. I didn't necessarily like that. I would really appreciate if you just didn't do that again. And if they are like, oh, I'm so sorry, that was never my intention, but I will make sure not to do it again. If that's what the response is, great. If the response is to gaslight me, to not, then it's just like, okay, then I see where we're at. We're clearly not friends, and that's okay. I just need to distance myself from you. But either way, if something is coming within me that feels just not right and it makes me feel not good, I need to have the conversation with that person. And uh, just going through my college life and my college years, that really set me up. Now, post college, I would say through friendships that I had, that is when it really started to come together. I was in what one could consider a toxic friendship. and uh and I was in it for a while because for the longest time I didn't know how to stick up for myself. I would consider myself an empath, and I made a lot of excuses for them and their treatment of me. And at some point, you do become done with the situation. It might take you some time, but at some point you get there and you've reached your point where you can no longer accept that thing. And so eventually I did reach that point, and I got to the point where I could, I may have been really nervous to have that conversation, especially because they were my friend, and it wasn't all bad in every aspect. Like, they showed up for me in certain ways, but then at the same time they would kind of tear me down. And so I knew, like, I just didn't feel seen, because when I did want to stick up, in the moments that I did find a little bit of courage to stick up for myself, they didn't take me seriously. And so once I got to that point of, okay, I can't do this. Like, you are not truly my friend. Um, I was able to have that conversation. I remember having so many butterflies trying to talk to them about how I felt, and but I did it. I did it. And eventually I did cut ties with that person. It took time, but we got there. But I feel like that was really the first big step of me getting out of my people pleasing habits. It takes time and it feels weird, and you trying to find that thin line of, am I standing up for myself, or am I being, and excuse my French, an asshole? Um, what is it? Because I'm not used to this. I don't know if I'm being, assertive, or am I being mean, or, whatever the case may be. And that's something that when you're like really overcoming being that chronic people pleaser, that you kind of go through. Um, and so eventually, with time, it wasn't easy, because then after that I was in PT school. So now I'm in a whole new environment that is filled with a lot more stress, with new people that I do love with all my heart. I love my Hampton PT school friends. But I think in the beginning, I was still very much in that beginning phases of overcoming people pleasing and really trying to be in my confidence and have a backbone and speak up for myself, but still like figuring out that fine line of, am I being assertive and truly just setting my boundaries, or am I coming off a little mean? And I'm not going to say that I got it right 100% of the time. Um, but I knew I didn't want to fall back into those people pleasing habits. I knew that I still need to be true to myself and my feelings, and make sure that I am appeasing to me. And so, still kind of figuring that out. Again, I didn't always get it right. And sometimes my classmates would let me know. And that maybe I was coming off a little bit mean or a little bit harsh when, I was still figuring it out and I couldn't articulate that necessarily to them. But just still like learning, feel me? Still learning how to go about doing this, how to go about really not just really sticking, just really just being me and being my most authentic self. Um, and yeah, and I think over time, I got good with that. Now I feel like I'm in this phase of, okay, I was this chronic people pleaser. I'm getting better at standing up for myself. There are still situations that I might get nervous in. I don't necessarily love, uh, uh, you know, conflict, but now it doesn't terrify me. And I don't try to avoid it like I used to. Like if something really needs to be addressed, then I will address the said thing, even if I'm the problem and I feel that I might be the problem. I will go to that person and we can talk it out. So I think I've been good with that. The ironic thing about being a people pleaser, though, is that you people please everyone else but yourself. And so now I think that, I'm in this phase of I do have a big heart and I do want to be there for others. And with the career that I have that, causes you to pour out and pour into others, now it's a thing of I need to also pour back into me. Um, that there are things and stressors that I allowed to get me to a place that I'm not necessarily happy with. Um, PT school, again, professional school is very stressful, and you need to have healthy systems to help you get through it. And I would say that, I had friends and we would go out and that was helpful. I had my family to talk to and that was helpful. But things for me to do on my own, and sometimes I would journal, and that's healthy. But I did pick up a bad eating habit, which caused me to gain like 50 pounds in PT school. And some of which I'm still, a lot of which, and I'm still carrying it today. And I mean, I graduated PT school a year ago. But I picked up those bad habits because, like I said, I've been working on trying to maybe stand up for myself, try to show up more authentically, which I think I'm getting way better at. And I think also with my career, just having to be in front of people, talking to people all the time, I do think that has been coming out more and will continue to come out more. And I'll continue to get even better with being my true, most authentic self. But I just, I rewarded myself with food. Like, because I was so stressed, I was just like, okay, like, my first thing was like, okay, like, at the end of the week, we made it through a week, you can reward yourself with going out that Friday. That's your one day, which that's not a bad one. But then it became more of a, ooh, girl, you showed up today. Okay, give yourself a little treat. There was no walking it off. There was no exercising. It was just eating. And over time, that builds up when you're just sitting, uh, you're studying and you eat and you snack and that's all you do. And you're stressed and your cortisol levels are high and all of these things. And then you get to a point where you look in the mirror and you're like, what? And now your clothes don't fit. And here we are. In all these years, that I spent people pleasing other people, I didn't try to please me. And so now here we are. Every year I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to work out. I'm going to be snatched by this started. I was like, okay, I'm going to be snatched by 25. I started to see I was gaining some weight. I'm going to be snatched by 25. Didn't lose the weight. 25 rolls around. Okay, I'm going to be snatched by 26. Didn't stay consistent. 26 rolls around. Still at the same weight. I'm going to be snatched by 27. Again, didn't do anything. Okay, I'm going to be snatched by 28. Again, didn't really do much, didn't really lose much weight. Now, at the beginning of the year, I will say I was more consistent than I had ever been with working out, but still my eating habits weren't the greatest. And so, yeah. So I lost a little bit of weight, nothing that you would notice though. Um, And so when I came back from my Jamaica trip, because that's where I went to for my 28th birthday this year, I went to Jamaica. And when I came back, and I was just like, I keep telling myself that I'm going to do this, and I haven't, and I'm not happy with where I'm at. And it's so easy for me to want to be there and commit to doing things for others, but yet I cannot commit for myself. Why can't I be a people pleaser to me? Why can't I be the people that I'm trying to please? Um, and so now, even though I'm a recovering people pleaser for others, and we're tiring from that, we are hanging that title up, I do want to please me. I want to be committed to me. And so now I'm in that part of my growth journey where I want to do things that will help me grow and be the best version of myself that I can absolutely be. Being consistent and being disciplined to becoming my best self. That's what's next in this growth journey. That's what I'm currently in right now. I'm in my fitness era. I've been a lot more consistent with working out, but still my eating is where I'm at. And for so long, I was just like, I don't need to really change my diet. As long as I work out, I'll be good. But I feel like I'm at such a stagnant point where I am working out at least at the minimum 4 times a week. My goal is like 5 to 6 times a week, but at the minimum, at the bare minimum, I do 4 times a week of working out. I'm either at the gym or I'm at Pilates or I'm doing some like at home workout. Like I'm moving my body, getting my steps in, all of that. And it just doesn't seem like it's really shedding. Now, I started this journey back in January where I was kind of doing more of a play. So back in January, it was more like maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then after my Jamaica trip, when I got back in April, once we hit May, I think I was starting to get into 3 to 4. And then in June, I was a lot more serious and I was getting in at a minimum like 4 to 5. July, we kind of went down and I was getting 4 times a week. And so in August, I really, really want to get 5 to 6. Like I want to kind of bump that up. But little by little, I've been getting more workouts in, but it's still like my diet. Like I'm 28. My body is changing, and I keep thinking in the mindset of when I first went on a weight loss journey and I lost the amount of weight that I lost 12 pounds in like a month, but I was 18. 10 years later, the body's a little different. Okay. The body moves a little bit different, and I'm a lot heavier than I was then. Like this is the heaviest weight I've ever been in my life. Now I'm a little bit smaller than I was, but like at the beginning of the year, sis was in the 200s club. Now, thank God, we have finally entered back into 100s territory. Still at the higher end, but the first number is a 1, and that number I haven't seen in like a good amount of time. So I'm happy about that, and I'm happy that little by little I have been growing in that way. As far as moving my body, now it's being more disciplined with my diet. I don't know why it's so easy for me to self sabotage with that. Um, I'm not someone that I want to like cold turkey just say I can't have the thing, because then that makes me want the thing even more. So I don't want to just say like, no, Kristen, you just can't have this. But I also just need to be better about like, okay, how is this serving me? Is this going to help me reach my goals? Like today I did have some Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and that was on me. That was on me. But I am going to do a lot better after today. Um, but I that's where I'm at now in this whole growth journey. So we went from being a people pleaser, a chronic people pleaser, to finally learning to not try to please everyone and try to be pleasing unto me and to myself, to be kind and not allow people to, talk and treat me any old kind of way, setting boundaries, things of that nature. Still learning with that. But I have really good friends, and I do want to create more. We talked about, if you go back to my first episode, that is something that I said that I do want to work on is, finding more friendships, and that will test me in my boundaries and even more, and then getting into dating, and that will also test my boundaries and how well I'm good at setting them. But right now I feel like I'm in a decent spot, but once new relationships find me, that will just have to test me even more. But right now I feel like I'm in a decent spot. Now it's just really being committed to myself, doing the things that I say that I'm going to do, living in the future, living like I'm the future me, the version of me that I, pray to be and to become. And that all starts with the habits and the routines that I set now and the systems that I put in place now. No longer do I want to have vision and have these ideas and then let myself down. It's hard when you have put people before you for a long time. And now that you've kind of gotten away from that, now all that's left is really you. And how are you going to treat yourself? Um, and so now putting me first, and not, and yes, selfishly, I am going to put me first because, like I said, my career is a career where I have to give to a lot of people and I can't pour into them from an empty cup. So I do need to focus on me, and I do need to make sure that I'm committed to me, and I do need to uh, stick to the things that I say I'm going to do. If I have a goal, then we need to do the thing to achieve that goal. Movement wise, I've been doing very, very good in other areas of my life. We still need a lot of work. So like I said, dieting, I still need to do a lot better in. My spiritual journey, we still need to do a lot better in. My financial journey, still need to do a lot better in. Even though, yes, now I'm making money, but it's being a good steward over the new money that I'm making. And I am transitioning into a new season of physical therapy, which will be, I'll be going into travel physical therapy, which I'll be making even more money. And I need to be a good steward over that money as well. And then when it comes to creating this podcast, when I have the vision of that God has given me of things to put out there into the ether of the universe, of the world, can like just doing that and staying committed to it. And, maybe every day I'm not going to feel like filming, but this is something that feels important to me that I want to get out there. And so I need to do it. And this month and all the months ahead, I want to be very consistent with doing the work, with showing up for me. And so from June, July was a weird month for me. Like I said, I stay committed as far as movement is concerned, but there was a lot of things, good and not so good things that happened in July that kind of, life, just life. And so now we're in August. It's a bit of a slower month as far as social things are concerned for me personally. So this really gives me the perfect opportunity to build and be consistent. Erin on Demand, when she talks about the beginning of her journey in her YouTube journey, she brings up the fact that she's a chronic procrastinator. And so she's overcoming, recovering chronic procrastinator. And so at the beginning of her YouTube journey, she just gave herself, like, what would 30 days of consistency look like? And continued from there. And now she has built this empire that is absolutely amazing. And so for me now, what would 30 days of me being consistent with doing my podcast, with this plan of action for me as far as fitness is concerned? Like this month, I want to do 30 days of Pilates plus walking, like Pilates being my strengthening, balance, maybe a sprinkle here or there of yoga, and getting my steps in. What will that look like for me? um, Reading, journaling, all of those things. What will that look like when I am fully committed? What will that look like when I am fully committed to me, being consistent for me, not playing about me? Not people pleasing, but Khristin pleasing. What does that look like when I am doing what I can to be the version of Khristin that I know that I have the potential to be? Because I feel like I've gotten far in life by doing just enough. And now I don't want to do just enough. I want to go beyond and really push to what am I fully capable of? Because I feel like once I tap into my full capabilities of what it is that I can do, there is no stopping me. But I have to get there, and I can't allow the devil to try and come and attack me and knock me off. And I really feel like July, he was trying to do that. I'm going to be so honest with you. Some of the weirdest crap was happening to me in July. I don't know, but I feel like I just feel like I've had little things here and there that have really tried to stop me from really achieving all that I can be. And to me, that lets me know that now that I'm really trying to lock in on me and grow into the woman that I'm supposed to be, the devil, he's shaking in his boots and he is doing everything to try to knock me right on off, right off track, and go back into some old habits of being the lazy, the lazy, not committed, inconsistent, undisciplined version of myself. And I'm just not going to allow that to happen. So a lot of, like I said, weird things have been happening to me, but I'm not going to let none of that get me off track, because I, one, am tired of feeling this way when it's just like these are all things that I have the power to change. I have the power to change it. I'm not happy about my weight. I have the power to change that. Going to the gym, eating cleaner, eating healthier, not eating out, not eating all the processed foods, all of that stuff, drinking water, letting go of the sugary drinks, all of that. And just staying consistent with that will help me get to feeling better about my body. It's gonna take time. It took time for me to get to this weight. It's gonna take time for me to get it off. And a lot of times we are in this instant gratification era, and I'm saying it, but it's because it's at me. Um I want it to just be gone. It's just like I go for a good little walk. I have a nice little sweat and I'm just like, so where the six pack at? I have a good Pilates class where I'm shaking and the core is on. Where the six pack at? I'm ready for all of that to just be here. But over time, eventually I will get there and I'm going to be in the body that I know that I can achieve. Now, I know and I see it for myself that as long as I continue with working out and doing and putting in the work to move my body and then eating healthier on top of that, eating cleaner on top of that, I will be in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I may have gone to a point where I was on one end of the spectrum being in the worst shape of my life, but with the systems that I put in place, I will be in the best shape of my life, the best shape I've ever been. And I will, by the end of this year, like being consistent with this podcast, I don't know where it will take me. I don't know if it's going to gain a lot of traction. I don't know none of that. But I know that I'm going to continue to show up for this thing that I do believe in. I'm not going to let laziness again not let me be on top of what it is that I know that God has put on my heart to do and put out there. And when it comes to this growth journey, it's just I'm in another phase of when you are done, you are done. And I'm done. I'm done with not betting on myself. I'm done with not pouring into myself. I'm done with not being committed to myself. I'm just done with all of that. I want to step in and be the Khristin that I know that I can be. And that's where I'm at in my journey. And if you have made it this far into listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, if you are also like in the middle of a journey, I don't know what your journey is, but if you are on a similar journey like mine, or you have your own growth journey that you are on and you're just done with where you're at, comment down below, put a crown down below, because we are queens and we are reclaiming our crown. We may have let it tilt a little bit, but we gonna knock that thing right back in place. Okay. So if you are with me to becoming the best versions of ourselves, we are now in the 8th month of the year, which means we have because August just started, I'm going to count August. It's only the 3rd, but by the time this video comes out, it'll be the 10th or something like that. So I know it's August 10th when you guys are watching this. It's August 5th for me. 5th. It's August 3rd for me right now. But I'm gonna still count. We count in August. So with counting August, there's 5 months left in this year. You can do a lot in 5 months. Okay. What can we get? We can accomplish a lot before 2026 even hits. And then when 2026 hits, we done already put so much momentum into the systems that we are creating that 2026 is going to be a banger. We're going to be on top of it. Okay. It's already written. It's already done. Point blank, period. Okay. We are becoming our absolute best selves. This growth journey, yeah, babes. Yeah, babes. This growth journey has no choice but to fulfill what it is supposed to fulfill. And we'll always be on some form of a growth journey. That's just life. There's always going to be some lesson that we have to learn, something that we have to go through and grow through for us to become our best selves. But I'm ready for the challenge. Are you? Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 on our self growth journey, where we are going to grow to be our absolute best selves. By December 31st of 2025, we will be absolutely unrecognizable and just living in the new realm of possibilities of all that we can be. And we're literally just getting started. We are on the precipice of being the best versions of ourselves. And I'm excited. I'm excited for me and I'm excited for you. So if this episode spoke to you, if you really enjoyed the content and want to stick around for a little bit more, I would love it actually if you would hit that subscribe button. You could subscribe to the podcast. You could subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching via YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. And again, comment down below, comment a crown if you are also ready to be on your journey as well. Like I said, it may have tilted a little bit. We may have gotten off track, lost the plot just a little bit, but we are repositioning that crown and putting it right back in place. And I'm excited for everybody's journey in the community that can be built together as we grow and go together to being who God has ordained us to be. So, until next time, with love, always.